Alexander the Great, known as one of the most exceptional military commanders in history, left an indelible mark on the ancient world through his swift and relentless conquests. Born in 356 BC, Alexander's life was filled with ambition, courage, and an insatiable thirst for knowledge and power. This video will delve into the remarkable life, conquests, and lasting legacy of this extraordinary figure. If you're ready, let's begin. 2nd Philip, who was the king of Macedonia in ancient Greece, reigned between 359 to 336 BC. Upon ascending the throne, his first order of business was to strengthen his kingdom militarily, politically, and economically. He established a professional army and developed catapults. 2nd Philip summoned the Greek cities to a national congress, and decisions made there led to the formation of the Hellenic League. Preparations began to liberate the cities in western Anatolia from Persian rule, but he was assassinated in a political plot. His son, Alexander the Great, would go on to fulfill his vision. Alexander, born in Pella, the capital of ancient Macedonia, he was the son of King Philip and Queen Olympias. His early life was marked by royal privilege, but his education was equally extraordinary. Aristotle, one of the most important philosophers of the time, served as Alexander's teacher. Under the guidance of Aristotle, Alexander received a rigorous education in a variety of subjects, from mathematics to philosophy, literature, and science. This early access to a wide range of knowledge would play a crucial role in shaping his future leadership. Alexander's military success was due to his remarkable leadership qualities. He possessed an unwavering determination, often leading his troops from the front lines. His charisma inspired fierce loyalty among his soldiers, and his adaptability in battle allowed him to overcome various challenges. The use of innovative tactics, such as the famous hammer and anvil strategy, showcased his military brilliance. At the age of 20, after his father's assassination, Alexander ascended to the throne as the king of Macedonia. This marked the beginning of his extraordinary military campaigns. He quickly solidified his rule in Macedonia and turned his attention to the Persian Empire. Following the assassination of 2nd Philip, in 336 BCE, his father, Alexander, and his army left their home of Macedonia for the last time and set out on a campaign aimed at conquering the Persian Empire. After crossing the Hellespont, Alexander traveled northward where he met and defeated the Persians under the leadership of the Greek mercenary Memnon at the Battle of River Granicus. As in future battles with Alexander, Darius and his generals continually underestimated the abilities of the young Alexander. Alexander moved southward along the coast of Asia Minor to Halicarnassus, where he defeated Memnon for the second time. Finally, after waiting for over a year, Alexander and his forces met Darius at Issus in November of 333 BCE where, again, the Persians suffered defeat. Alexander then captured Darius' family, wishing to avoid further conflict and with hopes that he would regain his family. Darius offered Alexander half of his kingdom and even his daughter's hand in marriage. However, Alexander rejected the offer by simply saying there could never be two sons as it would upset the world order. Alexander challenged the Persian king to once again face him in battle. Following the battle at Issus, Alexander continued his campaign and moved along the Mediterranean coast, capturing the coastal city of Tyre in a 7-month siege. As he traveled southward, he was welcomed in both Jerusalem and Egypt, for they had felt the wrath of the Persian army. After laying out the plans for the future city of Alexandria and visiting the temple at Siwa, Alexander prepared for his next military engagement with Darius. Alexander had planned to march straight to Babylon, but when he learned of Darius' presence at Gaugamela, he instead turned northward to meet and battle the Persian king. He realized a victory at Gaugamela meant the conquest of all of Persia, including Babylon, Persepolis, and Susa. Darius, who had learned his lesson at the Battle of Issus, had carefully chosen Gaugamela for his next battle against Alexander. This time, his army was quite more advanced, having brought together men from all over his empire, even Indian mercenaries. Estimates of his army vary from 50,000 to almost 1,000,000. The terrain of Gaugamela was also significant, as it was much wider, so he could deploy his cavalry more effectively. For Darius, it was clear that the size of his army and the terrain gave him a significant advantage against Alexander. Alexander's well-trained army of about 40,000 faced Darius' massive battle line and organized for the attack, charging the left of the Persians' line with archers, javelin throwers, and cavalry while defending against Darius' outflanking cavalry with reserve flank guards. While Alexander was challenging the Persians on the right, Darius sent his scythe chariots towards the center, a move that failed to have the effect Darius had hoped. As the chariots approached, the phalanx merely opened ranks, allowing the chariots to pass through. Alexander and his personal cavalry immediately wheeled half left and penetrated this gap and then wheeled again to attack the Persians' flank and rear. Alexander, spying Darius, seized upon the opportunity and threw a spear at the shocked king, missing him by merely a few inches. Just like at Issus, Darius realized that victory was hopeless and fled. Panic then spread through his entire army, which began a headlong retreat. Darius was later murdered by one of his satraps, and Alexander conquered the Persian capital of Babylon. The victory signified the end of the Persian Empire founded by second Cyrus, commonly known as Cyrus the Great, and made Alexander the master of Southwest Asia. The Indian campaign of Alexander the Great began in 327 BC and lasted until 325 BC. After conquering the Achaemenid Persian Empire, the Macedonian army undertook an expedition into the Indian subcontinent. Within 2 years, Alexander expanded the Macedonian Empire to include present-day Punjab and Sindh in what is modern-day Pakistan, surpassing the earlier frontiers that had been established by the Persian conquest of the Indus Valley. Alexander had already conquered vast territories in Asia, and his conquest of India was a part of his larger campaign to reach the eastern edge of the known world. King Porus ruled over a kingdom that lay between the Indus and Hydaspes rivers, and he resisted Alexander's advance. To engage Porus in battle, Alexander had to cross the Hydaspes River. This was a challenging task, as Porus had prepared his forces on the opposite bank and defended the river. The battle was intense and well fought. Porus's forces, including infantry and war elephants, put up a strong resistance. However, Alexander's tactics and the discipline of his army prevailed. Despite his defeat, Porus fought bravely and was ultimately captured by Alexander. Impressed by Porus's valor, Alexander not only spared his life but also reinstated him as a local ruler under Alexander's authority. After the victory at the Hydaspes, Alexander continued his campaign in India, but his army faced increasing challenges and a mutiny. This eventually led to Alexander's decision to turn back and return to Babylon. The Battle of the Hydaspes River was a significant achievement for Alexander, but it also marked the easternmost extent of his conquests. Afterward, he decided to halt his expansion and head westward. It's worth noting that Alexander's campaign had a profound impact on the cultural exchange between the Greek and Indian worlds, known as Hellenistic culture. In 323 BC, at the age of 32, Alexander's remarkable journey came to a sudden end. He died in the palace of second Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon under mysterious circumstances. His death led to a power vacuum and a period of instability in his vast empire. As Alexander never properly laid out a plan for succession and his empire was never homogenized, it was broken up quite messily by his generals and family in a bloody series of wars. At the end of it, most of the empire was divided between Seleucus, Ptolemy, his soon-to-be murdered family in Macedonia, and a resurgent Greece. Much of the eastern territory, taken only recently before his death, revolted and regained independence. Alexander's legacy is far-reaching. He is celebrated not only for his military conquests but also for his impact on culture, science, and philosophy. The Hellenistic period, characterized by the spread of Greek culture and influence throughout Alexander's conquered territories, was a direct result of his campaigns. This cultural diffusion, known as Hellenization, laid the foundation for the fusion of different cultures in the ancient world. His conquests expanded the known world, and his influence on culture and military strategy persists throughout history. Alexander's name remains synonymous with greatness, and his legend will continue to be celebrated for generations to come. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about history's greatest figures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming historical explorations. See you in the next video?